Hey, what's up? It's your boy JP. I'm clocking right back in with you guys. And the topic of discussion today is going to be, the whole, premise of going to work, of going to, whatever job that you work at, whatever occupation that you have. It's just so fake to me, You have to go there and, pretend like you give a fuck about, what you're doing. You have to fake a conversation with coworkers that you wholeheartedly could probably give a fuck about. You have to, you know, hold in your thoughts, hold in any type of emotional, threatening feelings you might have. You have to do all these fucking things, and it's like it is just so fucking fake, bro. I remember, this is how I knew, work was bullshit. I remember I was working at a fucking restaurant, and there was this old white lady that I used to work with. She was a server. I was her bus boy. When I went to work, she would always used to be cordial with me, have a conversation with me, and talk about family, talk about, how I'm doing, say, hey, what's up. But, I saw her leaving a library one day. It's a red-headed old white lady. I saw her leaving a library one day, and I said, "Hey, what's up?" And the lady literally looked at me and walked past me like she never knew me. She literally looked dead at me and walked past me like she didn't know me. It's all an act, bro. It's all a charade. You know, Going there, making conversation, and if you don't want to make conversation with your coworkers, you don't want to, participate in the fucking bullshit, work group, they're gonna say, "Hey, what's up, man? What's going on? Why are you not engaging with your other coworkers? Why are you not engaging in the work that's being set by us?" It's all bullshit, man. You don't want to, if you just go to work, you know, do what you have to do and go home, treat it like what it truly is. It's just a place where you go and make money, you know. It's just a place where you literally just go make money. If you treat it like that, they're gonna get mad, bro. They want you to treat it like it's fucking college or something. They want you to treat this shit like it's a fraternity or some shit. Like you go there, you have to be friends with people, you have to engage, you have to be proactive, you have to do all this shit, you have to go out of your way to do things. Jobs want you to treat the the job that you're doing like it's like a project or some shit, it's just all so fake, man. It is all so fake. We're literally here just to fucking make money and go home, you know. Where that's what we're here for. But if you treat it like that, you're gonna get a call to the office and they're gonna want to have those little fucking speeches with you and shit. And they'll say, "Yo, man, what's going on? What's wrong?" And I'm like, it could be nothing wrong with you. It's just that's just how you are, and they won't accept that. They would not accept it. They'll say, "Man, you need to stop, I don't know what you're going through, but you need to stop doing that, and you need to be more engaging with your other coworkers. You need to communicate. You need to be more proactive. You need to be more attentive to what's going on. You need to, break bread with your fucking fellow coworkers. You need to talk to them. You need to talk about life and shit and all that fucking bull." But it's all bullshit, man. Outside of work, most of us will not even interact with each other. But these 8 hours out of the day, you expect us to come here like it's all fucking kumbaya and it's all we love each other, we're a family, and all that fucking bullshit that they feed us at the meetings and all that shit. Man, it's not a fucking family, man. That's fucking bullshit. You know, the whole concept of work is just so fucking fake, bro, and it's so fake, and it's absolutely so, soul wrenching that you have to go there and put on a fucking act and put on a mask and bite your tongue around certain people and bite your tongue around certain things that you want to say, but you can't say it because it could get in the way of your money, and that's just not even the worst part. On top of all the fucking politics, on top of all the favoritism, on top of all the BS, on top of all the bullying, on top of all the horrible shit that you have to withstand when you go to a working environment, when you go to a toxic work environment. It's like, man, it feel like you're back in fucking high school again. But this time you just get paid to go. You know, it feels like high school all over again. Only this time you get paid to go, and it's for life. It's for until you hit 65, until you retire. You know, that's fucking like that's why I don't like it, man. I don't like the shit, bro. I don't know if you guys have experienced that, but I've definitely experienced that shit, man. And it just sets me off, bro. It's so many times where I literally walked into work, you know, and just had to really hold myself back from going off on somebody, from cursing out somebody, from fucking getting into an altercation with somebody, you know. And you can't do it, man. You can't do none of this stuff, you know. And it's just it crushes you spiritually. It crushes you spiritually, mentally, and physically, you know. It's fake, man. It's so fake, man. And I just, you really come to a point where you realize that, not only in work, but, outside of work, outside in the real world, like every single interaction with a person, you really have to fake it until you make it. And that's just the reality. You have to fake it until you make it, until that person gets the fuck out of your face. You have to act like you give a fuck what the person's talking about and what the person's interests are and what the person's political, religious beliefs are, or, whatever the fuck they're talking about with you. You have to just nod your head, laugh, smile, and fucking, say statements like, "Oh yeah, yeah, you're right. Oh yeah, I heard about that. Yeah, I kind of I kind of thought so too." You got to say these affirming, brief remarks to, keep the conversation going long enough for them to get the fuck out of your face. And going back to the subject, going back to the topic of work, and it's like, man, work is it's just so fucking fake, man. It's just so fake, you know. And that's just not, and that was only one incident, bro. I have so many other instances where, it just really exposed that we're all actors, bro. we're coming to we're coming to this building and we're putting on an act to get money. I don't know if you guys see my recent video. I mean, my other video I had on here is titled that we're all actors behind the, we're all actors behind money. Everyone's an actor behind money, and that's so true, man. And it's so true. And it's like you can't do anything about it. That's the worst part. Like you feel stuck. Like you're in quicksand that's just sucking you dry of everything that makes you special. Wage slavery is just like breaking you from the inside out, you know. And it's like after a period of time, I understand why some people they just say fuck this shit, bro. They just say fuck it, and one day just, they don't give a fuck about losing their job. They just go off on their boss or go off on a coworker or just absolutely go ape shit, bro. They just they just absolutely fucking lose it, man. They absolutely fucking lose it, and I don't blame them. You know, I remember this one time where the same restaurant I was working in, you know, nobody was coming in towards the end of the night. It was like a very slow night. Nobody was coming in, and they set a rule where, you know, if the customers don't come to the door by 9 o'clock, we have to close the restaurant down. So here we all thinking that, it's been a slow night. Nobody's coming in. You know, they're not coming in by 9. Okay, it's past 9 o'clock. We have to close the doors now. We have to close the doors now. No one's coming in by 9. But here comes a whole group of people coming in after 9, after the boss specifically told everybody after 9, we're not taking any more seats. We're not taking any more reservations. After that, it's over. That's what he told us. Verbatim, right? So here comes a whole group of people, man. Like it was like 15, 20 deep of people. They come into the restaurant, right? They say they want to be seated, and we're thinking they're gonna turn them away. We're the bus people. We're the bus boy, server assistant, bullshit. We're the service slave, basically, cleaning up dishes, setting tables. We're the slaves, right? So here they come. Here they come. My boss looks at them and says, "You know what? It's greed, it's money, it's money. So we're going to break this rule, even though they're trying to enforce the importance of following rules to us in these little bullshit fucking team meetings. But here comes my boss breaking a rule that he told us specifically verbatim that we won't be taking any more reservations. He takes in these people, seats them, and I remember I had a coworker who seen this. It was on Father's Day. It was on Father's Day. I had a coworker who was working with me. He's seen all of this shit. He said, I had plans to be with my dad today. I'm not trying to be here past hours, and our boss just sat these people down without considering what we thought. And he absolutely goes off, silently to me and other coworkers, and then he walks out of the building. He walks out through the back door and says, "No, I'm not doing this shit," and he just quits right there on the spot, and he never came back. So it's all bullshit, bro. It's all bullshit, bro. you know he literally walked out of the door right in front of him and quit. He threw his apron on the floor and quit. you know and that was just a time where it reminded me, guys, that when you go to work, bro, you're surrounded by nothing but actors, bro. Everyone's an actor, and everyone's is willing to stab you in the back or make you look bad to get ahead. You know, and that's my view on work, bro. The whole work dynamic is just bullshit. You're literally just playing a role, bro. You're literally just, you know, taking on this character to appease these people that's unfortunately they're your bosses. You know, and it's all crap, bro. It's all political. And the crap that I had to endure working in that restaurant, this was a while back ago before I started working for Amazon. The crap that I had to endure in that fucking restaurant was, oh my God, bro. I would not be able to do it today, bro. I would go off on somebody today. I'm talking about, it was bad, guys. It was so bad that, you had servers, not claiming the money that they were getting from the customers, so they were robbing us. A customer would give them a tip and say split it with the busboy, and you would ask the server, did we get anything? The server would tell you no, lie to your face straight up and tell you no. And they would just pocket all the money, and we'd be forced to stay the latest. We'd be forced to stay till past like 10:30, 11 o'clock, setting tables, washing silverware and all that. Oh my God, bro. Like, it was fucking bad, bro. It was bad. It was bad. But, it was just a learning life lesson, bro. That work is bullshit. And I would never romanticize the idea of work to somebody. I'm sorry. People love to romanticize hard work, and you got to work to get to where you're going, and to a degree that is true. I'm not going to completely knock it. To a degree that is true. But in this world, unfortunately, it's not about what you know, it's about who you know. I don't give a fuck how hard you work, man. If the person on top decides that you're not gonna ascend to that upper echelon, you are going nowhere. I don't give a fuck if you work 7 days a week. You work 80 hours, 120 hours, 150 hours. I don't care. I don't care if you work every hour of every living day. You are going nowhere if the person on top of you decides that his favoritism, his prejudices, you know, his likings doesn't align with you. Then you are going nowhere, bro. You're going nowhere. You are going nowhere, my friend. It's all bullshit. They feed you. It's just like life. In life, they feed you the idea that everybody can make it. You know, in life, they feed you the idea that every single person can make it. You know, and we all know that's not true. It's not designed that way, man. A lot of you guys, most of you guys, are gonna have to work until you die, and that's just the reality. You're gonna have to work until you die. You're not gonna ascend to the shit that you see on social media. You're not. You know, And even in school, they do it. In school, they tell everybody, listen, guys, if all you guys go to college, get good grades, listen to your parents, you're going to be successful in life. And that is bullshit. That's bullshit. Life doesn't, we can't put standards on life, man. We don't set the rules here. We're just simply a part of nature. We don't set the rules here. We're like the grass, we're like the trees. But this is what people believe. They believe that they're that important where they can decide how everything's going to play out when they can. And same with the work. I talked about life, I talked about school, and then you have in the work field, right? Your boss calls you all to a meeting, sits everyone down, everyone's sitting, everyone's huddled up around the boss. The boss says, you know what? The boss says, listen, guys, everyone's been working hard. Everyone's been working hard, and I believe that whoever works the hardest is going to get the promotion. Whoever puts in the hours, whoever I see taking initiative, whoever I see being proactive with what's going on, whoever I see that's being assertive on how things get done around here, that's the person I'm going to select for the promotion. That's what the boss tells everybody. It doesn't matter if you're, he gives the impression that it doesn't matter if you're black, white, short, gay, Jewish, whatever. You can get the promotion if you work hard. If you just simply work hard. That's all it takes. And we all know that's bullshit. We all know it, man. We all know that everyone has their favorites, everyone has their prejudices, everyone has their likings, everyone has their biases. Everyone has it, including your bosses. You know, some of the bosses that you guys work for, they're racist. Some of the bosses that you guys work for, they hate gay people. Some of the bosses that you work for, they hate Jewish people. Some of the bosses that you work for will never promote an ugly person. Some of the bosses that you work for will never promote a Spanish person. Some of the bosses you work for will never promote a straight person. You know, some of the bosses you work for will never promote an old person, like a person of a certain age, or a person of a certain demographic. But they will never tell you this. They will keep all of this inside. They will keep it all inside because they know if they ever let this be known, they're gonna get sued and yada yada yada. But they're gonna pick who they want to pick based on their biases, based on their prejudices, based on their likings, based off what I just told you guys. You know, they're gonna pick who they pick, and the people who they don't pick, they're gonna give them a bullshit reason on why they weren't picked. Oh, you wasn't working hard enough. Oh, you were late. Oh, your uniforms sometimes be wrinkly. Oh, this guy worked harder than you. Oh, he's showing more initiative. Oh, he's showing more assertiveness. Oh, he was our workhorse. They're gonna give you some bullshit reason. And to sum my point all up is, it doesn't matter how hard you work, bro, because if you're not one of the chosen ones, you are going nowhere, bro. You are going nowhere, man. If you're not one of the ones that they have in the back of their mind, that's the one I'm going to bring up. That's the one that's ordained for greatness in this place. You know, they have it in the back of their mind already. If you're not in their back of the mind already, you're going nowhere. I don't give a fuck if you're the workhorse. I don't give a fuck if you've been there 5, 10 years. I don't give a fuck if you miss birthdays. I don't give a fuck if you miss funerals. I don't give a fuck if you suck up to the boss. I don't give a fuck if you know the boss's children's birthday by heart, bro. You're going nowhere, bro. You're going nowhere. You're going nowhere. And that's my problem with work. It gives the false idea that everyone can make it. Same with school. Teachers tell all the kids, you all can make it if you just do this. And it's BS, man. It's BS. You know, it's BS. You know, I've had plenty of instances where I've seen, a boss just absolutely is just brutal about his or her biases towards a coworker of mine. I remember one time I was working, there was a promotion coming up, and there was you know, one black dude and one white dude, and he went with the white dude because we're in a mostly fine dining white establishment, white restaurant establishment, and he wanted to make the front of the house look marketable for the people that was coming in, and it is what it is. The black dude works twice as hard. The black dude was working his fucking ass off. The black dude's been there. The black dude's paid his dues. The black dude's respectful. The black dude never was almost never late. But at the end of the day, biases, prejudices, and likings. If you're not picked, if you're not liked by somebody on top, you're going nowhere, bro. So yeah, man, it's all a charade, man. Work is a charade. It's all fake. We're all actors. Your boss is a liar. The teachers were liars. Your parents were liars. Society was liars. You know, that's all a fucking charade. All of it, all of it. You know, the winners are picked. The great people are picked. No matter what, you're picked. And am I saying that you can't will yourself towards a successful looking outcome? You can do that. You can. Is it highly likely without somebody being on top to pull you up? It's not very much likely so. But it is possible. It's just not probable. You know. But, that's my issue with work, man. That's my issue with work and that's my issue with life, man. It gives the idea that, everybody can ascend to a place where in reality only a select few get to go there. Because if everybody was there, who would be down here running the world, industrial, areas? Who would be driving the trucks? Who would be cleaning the dishes? Who would be cleaning your car? Who would be doing the fast food work? You know, who would be delivering like what I'm doing? Like I'm an Amazon driver. Who would be doing that? Amazon hasn't made the robots take over yet. So who would be doing these things? You got to ask yourself that question. Work is a charade, man. It's all a charade. But you guys, that's my rant. That's my rant on work. We're all actors. It's nothing's real. It's all fake. Those people, it's just like school, man. Once you get out of school, you see them people in real life, bro. You're like, okay, yeah, I knew this person from school. If he recognizes me, cool. If he doesn't, I'm not gonna be like, hey, you remember me? No, I'm just gonna walk right past that person. That's how I am. I remember people from school. I see them out in public. If they don't remember me, then I'm not gonna try to make them remember me. I'm gonna walk right past them. It's the same with work, man. Those people, you're only working with those people because there's just money involved and you guys are within a system that requires you guys to be cordial with each other. Outside of work, complete strangers, you know. But let me know, let me let you guys go, you know. Leave a comment down below, subscribe, share. I'm always down to talk with you guys. I'm dropping banger after banger after banger, you know. It's your boy JP and I am clocking out.